Thanks for tuning in. I'm really pleased to be back at Fret Dojo talking about something that is really, really important, triads. And triads are super cool for a number of reasons. They're the sort of building blocks of harmony, really. And they kind of get overlooked, I think, in jazz because whenever we have a jazz tune, the chords are always sevenths. So we sort of think of these 4-note arpeggio things, you know? Well, pick any seventh chord, C major 7, for example. It's kind of like two triads combined, C major and E minor, or even C major 9th, that chord. You could think of it as G major triad and a C major triad. So everything's kind of connected. But certainly if you're anything like me, I was kind of really interested in weird scales and those sorts of things. So I was definitely coming at things from a more scalar angle when I was starting off. And there's the whole Jamie Aebersold method as well, which teaches you that on a certain chord, you should think of a certain scale. And that's really important information to be aware of. Where it can be tricky is if we only have 2 beats going by on a certain chord. So if you're playing 8th notes, you've only got like 4 notes really that you can sort of squeeze into that space. And if you're trying to play a 7-note scale, the altered scale, for example, or even the diminished scale with 8 notes, or even the augmented scale, which has 9 notes. There are many augmented scales. One of them has 9 notes. You know, you can't play those 9 notes in the space of 2 beats, probably. So it's really good to be aware of how to outline chords in a more concise way with what we're playing. And triads are a great way of doing this. They also have a very strong sound. And I think you'll see what I mean when you start to experiment with them and learn about them. Basically, if you play a triad, it has a really clear kind of sonic effect. Whereas if you play a scale, it's a little bit more, maybe like a triad is like one beam of light in a certain color, but a scale is kind of like a rainbow or something. There's lots of different colors. Anyway, so I've got this PDF here, and one of the first things we want to do is just acquire some mobility within our favorite scale, the world's favorite scale probably, maybe second favorite after pentatonic, but the major scale, the Ionian mode. So we're going to pick the key of C major and we're going to build triads. Now you could probably all do this, but just in case, let's go through it. So we've got C major, we've got C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major. And that can come in useful for improvisation, the same way you might go. It might be nice to go. So we want to just acquire some mobility, really. Ultimately, we want to be able to improvise with these triads. They're a tool for us to improvise with, the same way we would with single lines. So get familiar with that. You could even start to practice some patterns the same way you would that kind of thing. Or, you know, both of them you could go. Or that second pattern that I just mentioned. Any weird and wonderful pattern that you would play with a single line, try and do it using the same scale but using triads. So let's now check out melodic minor scale in the same way. So now we're going to have C minor, D minor, E flat augmented, F, G, A diminished and B diminished. There's a lot going on in this one. Sometimes you can remember it, there's these kind of sets of two. Then there's an augmented scale that resets things. But we've got C minor, D minor, then there's E flat augmented, then F major, G major, then A diminished and B diminished. You see what I mean? Sets of two. Two minors augmented, two majors, two diminished. So let's play it. And back down. Nice. Okay, so I suppose we should do harmonic minor as well, right? Let's do it. Now this one is quite, there's a lot going on into lots of different types of triads and all stuck together. There are no groups of two. Well, there's one. Let's have a look anyway. So we've got C minor, D diminished, E flat augmented, F minor, G, A flat. So there's a little group of two, only a semitone in between them. Then B diminished, and then C minor. So one more. That's a really interesting sound there, right? So there are our harmonized major scale, melodic minor scale, and harmonic minor scale using triads.